Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks! What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got a quick little knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Mr. Designs Phantom, which is OEM'd by QSP, and they did a good job with it. It's also got a competitive price tag on it. It's still available. This is a knife that slipped through the cracks as far as all the stuff that I have here for review. But fortunately, as of the exact time that I'm uploading this video, it is still available, so I will link it down in the description so that you guys can check it out if you want to. Thanks so much to Mr. for sharing this with me so that I can share it with everybody else. This will go back to Mr. Designs as soon as I'm done with this review. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Let's go ahead and get a measurement here real quick. And if it sounds like I'm talking funny, I've got a canker sore in the inside of my lip that is killing me. So I know that that's gross, but I figured that I should explain myself in case I start accidentally talking like a pirate during any part of this video. Okay, so anyways, the overall length of this knife is coming in at 7 inches. It doesn't feel quite 7-inch small, right? It does feel bigger than that. I think it's because of the open ergonomic profile. There's a joke in there somewhere, isn't there? I'll let you guys have at it in the comments. You always do anyway. 3 inches for the blade length, 2.75 inches for the cutting edge. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and Others. So we can see 80-10 and the 80-20.5. Much closer to the overall length of the 80-20.5, but certainly more compact, though it does have exactly the same amount of cutting edge. How about up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3? Once again, closer to the size of the smaller one here, but in this case, we actually have slightly more cutting edge than the Para 3. And then finally up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue and the Hogue Deca. So how is the action on this knife? Well, it is manufactured by QSP, and QSP does a good job. I think QSP's manufacturing quality is very, very good. I think some of their high-end designs have been a little weird, but the way that they execute those weird designs has been good. I think QSP generally shines at the lower end much better, just given how good their quality is and how well it shines through for the price tags they put on their stuff. But this is an example of a high-end knife that actually was made really, really well. I mean, you have little thumb studs, but they're put in the right place. It's very easy to deploy with your thumb. It's very easy to, sorry, I missed that one. Trying to demonstrate quality, gosh darn it. It's very easy to reverse flick it. This flipper tab can actually be, I just did it right before the video. If you reach around, you can do, my choice of words. You can do the top flip. You can also do the front flip very easily. It's actually really easy, right? As far as pivot action, it's fine. It's nothing spectacular, but it's certainly not bad. You move that liner lock out of the way, it's gonna drop. Feels decent, right? Doesn't take a lot of encouragement to get it into the closed position. Periodically, there is a little lock stick. I was kind of waiting for that to show up. I think that'll work itself out. I would say about maybe 1 out of 10. I feel it a little bit. Access to the lock bar is good. You have plenty of room to get in there. Not sharp. Looks like it might be sharp. This is a steel nested liner lock, not a titanium liner lock, but that's fine. I imagine that would have bumped the price tag up, but overall, fine, good. It's exactly what you'd expect it to be. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's pretty close, but it's also contoured, which is really nice considering it's a compact knife. It just feels a lot more durable than a lot of knives this size. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. Lengthwise, not quite as long as the Para 3 close. Nowhere near as tall as either. It's actually a really easy knife to carry. It was close to 2 days. Like, if you're new to my channel, I am a design reviewer. I carry and use knives like the average Joe, like the vast majority of the people watching this channel, so my usage will be very, very comparable to yours. What I do not do is insane long-term or hard use or abusive testing. Not really interested in any of that. So my 2-day experience carrying this and just using it like a regular pocket knife is, yeah, it's very familiar. It's a common profile, and it's an experience that I am all too familiar with. It's good. It's exactly the type of experience you want to have with a lightweight, well, titanium, but a compact premium EDC folding knife. Let's go and weigh it. So what are we looking at for materials? We are looking at contoured titanium scales. And then we have a couple of standoffs here. We've got a wire clip, and then we have a CPM 20CV blade that is really nicely, I mean, like, it's thin. They advertise it this way on the website, and that is definitely the case. Nice hollow grind there. Subtle, but it is a hollow ground blade, and it is definitely thin. What's the HRC? They don't list it on the Mr. website, and you guys should be doing that. You should be listing the HRC range. I did a quick search of what QSP typically hits their 20CV to, and unless the information that I checked out is outdated, it sounds like it's at pretty much 5961 across the board, which is, it's kind of like we like get it up 1 point higher. 60 to 62 is where we like to see it. 5961 doesn't mean it's bad. It just doesn't mean that it's going to have the optimal range for CPM 20CV. But the geometry of the blade will certainly help. If you get a blade that's thicker behind the edge and it's heat treated, 20CV heat treated to 60 to 62, a blade like this that's super thin behind the edge and only heat treated to 59 to 61 will actually perform better in terms of slicing and continuous cutting, things like that. Obviously, there's a million variables, and I don't want to invite the professionals of the comment section to argue endlessly, but okay, you get what I'm saying there. I wish that it was slightly higher. I think that would have really optimized this very, very thin Wharncliffe blade, but you can't always get what you want. Let's go ahead and weigh it. Do we have milling for weight reduction? Yes, we do. Remember, one side's got the nested steel liner. The other side has a little bit of weight reduction milling. I'm going to guess this still weighs about 4.5 ounces, maybe 4.25. No, I'm just stupid. Man, I really thought I had any of that. If you've been watching my channel consistently, you'll know that for like weeks now, I've been getting the weight pretty accurate. I was so off. You know what? Okay, sorry. I bet the reason that I think that is because the balance is super butt heavy. Oh, yeah. So the balance on this knife is actually way back here. Now, I'm going to criticize this, but this is also an issue with my own design, my Excalibur design. It's an integral with a thinner blade, and the balance is back here. It's not necessarily a big disadvantage, but it does make the knife feel heavier than it actually is, especially in your standard grip. You can feel it. The butt end of the knife feels much heavier. When the balance is in the middle, the knife feels a little more wieldy, a little more natural, right? So are you going to notice that while you're using it? I don't know, probably not, but just to let you know, the balance is a bit back here. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'm going to get out my tools as per usual. My tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. So we have T8 for the pivot, and fortunately we have T8 for all the body screws. This will be and the pocket clip screw, which by the way can be mounted on either side. This will be beautifully simple to take apart and maintain. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. Let's go ahead and measure the blade stock thickness here. And we need to get this to the right setting. There we go. Zero it out. I'm going to guess 80 thousandths. No, not quite, but 93 thousandths, definitely on the thinner side. All right, meat and potatoes time. This is not a knife profile that is unique. I don't think that's what they were going for. I think they were going for straightforward, premium, compact EDC with an exceptionally slicey Wharncliffe blade. I know that sounds really, really specific, but they were gearing towards that specifically, right, in a sea of other designs that are fairly similar. Yeah, this is exactly that. It's nice and thin behind the edge, and for general EDC stuff, an elongated utility blade like this that's really thin behind the edge in CPM 20CV, I mean, it's going to work extremely well for a lot of people. The downside, I would say at least 50% of the people watching this video right now, you probably have a knife in your collection that looks really, really similar, right? It's a very generic handle profile and it's a very generic blade profile. Does it work? Yes. Is it a good utilitarian object day to day for the average person? Yes. Is it offering something that we have never seen before? No, hardly, right? That's going to work against it. It's yet another design that is not extremely memorable in any way, right? I mean, like, it sounds like I'm being super mean, but the truth is that even in like 2014, we had sorry for the background noise there, but even in 2014, we had a million knives that kind of looked just like this. Since then, you could argue that general manufacturing quality has, increased. And a lot of materials that were hyper expensive back then have actually come down, right? I guess, right? You could argue, I mean, but we had American I don't know. I'm like creating arguments for myself here. Back then, we had American CPM 20CV and titanium contoured frame locks that would cost around $200. And now you have a maybe much more optimized, but Chinese titanium frame lock that's contoured with a CPM 20CV blade, right? That's properly heat treated for $200. And we consider that a fairly good deal, which, by the way, that is the price tag of this. Base price is about $205. So it's one of those things where you're going to have to look at it from your own perspective, or different perspectives based on all the different arguments out there. But yeah, it's just not really doing anything visually or in terms of deployment, manipulation. Just as far as pocket knives go, there's not a whole lot that's incredibly unique about it, but it is good, right? I mean, ergonomically, it's comfortable. I don't love the bill that sticks up here. I think like down in a slight swoop would have been fine, but I can't call it like terribly uncomfortable. I might give it like a C+ or a B- with the pocket clip being shaped like that. I think otherwise it's pretty good. I really wish that they had extended the jimping out a little bit, but they didn't. I think the aesthetic of this one is fine. This isn't the only aesthetic you can get. The blade is ridiculously thin. I mean, that's going to be this thing's claim to fame. It has a stupidly thin edge. And like I said before, even if this blade ends up actually being, like if you had yours Rockwell tested and it was 60 or 61, you got a good 20CV blade. You have yours Rockwell tested and it's 59, not as good, right? It'll be okay. But the geometry of this thing with the super thin spine and behind the edge, this being incredibly thin, as long as you're using it like a knife and not like a screwdriver or pry bar, this thing is going to cut and cut and cut. Even without the belly, this will make very precision cuts. I do a lot of draw cuts throughout the day and shaping cuts, so a knife like this is actually really, really great. And when it comes time to sharpen it, shouldn't be too bad. It's a straight edge. A lot of times just stropping it up will save it, right? Or bring it back to life. We got a flat that runs out maybe 70% the length of the blade. Nothing too crazy going on here. QSP edge looking good, looking even on both sides. Fit and finish in general on this knife is good. There are no issues with the seating of the hardware or just any fit and finish issues whatsoever. That's typical of QSP. I do appreciate that even though it is a right-handed nested liner lock, we have a mounting position for the pocket clip on the other side. So left-handed people, as you can see here, my left hand is not my dominant hand, and I can still manipulate this knife. Let's see if I can get the lefty reverse flick. Yeah, can I get the lefty front flip? Come on. Yeah, I can do it. So yeah, lefties, you'll be just fine. Obviously, if you're dominant there. In and out of the pocket, it's fine. If you've got a real thick pocket seam, like this bill that's coming straight over might fight you a little bit, but truthfully, it's plenty easy. It's an experience that I've had many, many times. As far as the stop pin, I believe, yeah, it's internal right here, attached to the blade, running on slots milled on either side of the titanium scales there. Your lockout is solid up, down, left, or right. Just do a little light spine whack. Actually, really good. I gave it a couple extra there because it is a thinner liner lock, but no problem whatsoever. No blade play up, down, left, or right. No lock stick. No pivot lash. Smooth enough. It's not the smoothest knife I've ever felt, but it's fine, right? That'll continue to, like the detent ball will wear its race into the blade, so it'll get smoother over time. The actual detent strength is medium light, but that's what you want considering it doesn't have a rear flipper. It's a front flipper and thumb stud deployment knife, right? There is no detent lash, and your centering is spot on. So, final conclusion here. The base price is $205, which is pretty par for the course. Yes, there are some companies that are a little more competitive, offering milled titanium clips and even milled titanium backspacers and S90V, coupled with titanium, even contoured titanium. In some cases, you have a little bit more complex machining. Artisan Cutlery is a company that comes to mind, right? I don't think that these are quite as large in batch. Mr. Designs is obviously using QSP as the OEM, and when you do that, there's a little bit added cost so that both parties can make a little more money. A lot of times a company like Artisan Cutlery making their own stuff and doing a much larger batch has a little more room to play with. So that, all things considered, sorry, I'm moving my super high quality background here. All things considered, I don't think the price is bad. Honestly, there's going to be a ton of people who look at this and go, I don't have anything like that in my collection. That's like perfect. It's minimal. It has a thin blade. It's got an okay treated 20 CV blade, right? And listen, if you don't have anything like this in your collection, you're looking for something premium, this will do it for you. So in a general sense, I guess I do recommend it to those people.
But I feel like the majority of people watching they own something like this or they've seen something like this. And it's going to, like, if this appeals to you, the truth is there's probably like 20 other things on the current market that are almost exactly the same thing. Excuse me. So pick the one that you like most. Like, if you choose this, are you going to be happy with it for $205? Yeah, it is. It's a good design. It's a generic design that has elements that have been borrowed from countless designs that are also good for decades, right? But yeah, I'm trying to be honest and not mean at the same time. It's not special, but if you buy it, I think you made a good choice. Does that make sense? That's really all I have to say about it. So thank you so much to Mr. Designs for sending it in. Just want to be clear, not trying to be rude about the design at all. Not that they've actually been a pleasure to work with, right? Just trying to be completely and totally honest here. It is a good premium tool, right? That's really all that can be said. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.